Good morning, dear students. So as you all are aware that your exams are postponed, so today we are going to start with the new chapter, that is tissues. So yet another very important chapter. So let's begin. Now, what is tissue? A group of cells similar in structure that work together to perform particular function forms a tissue. Clear? All cells of tissue have a common origin. For example, human nervous tissue has nerve cells or neurons, which are basically same structurally and functionally. Like if we talk about nerve cells, so all the nerve cells basically have a cell body or soma, as you can see in the diagram too, and the nucleus containing central part of a neuron, which has two parts of branches, namely dendrites, which is used to receive message, and an axon to convey message away from the soma. So all neurons of nervous tissue originated from the same germinal layer called ectoderm. So more aptly, we can say that neural ectoderm. So in that way, it is clear that all the human nervous tissue has nerve cells, and all are basically or structurally same and functionally too, like which is present in brain, spinal cord and nerves. It is helps to transfer the information from one part to another part. Now, discovery of tissue. Now, who discovered and what are the steps taken? The term tissue was coined by Marie Francois Xavier Bichet in 1792. He is called as father of histology. Study of tissue is called histology. Histos means tissue and logos means study. Marcello Malpighi is considered as founder of histology, and the term histology was coined by Muir in year 1819. Yeah. So who's the scientist? The term tissue was basically coined by Bichet in year 1792, and study of tissue is known as histology, which came from a Greek word. Histos means tissue and logos means study. Importance of tissues. Now, what is the role of this tissue? Very important. Formation of tissues has brought about a division of labor in multicellular organisms. Second, tissues become organized to form organs and organs into organ systems. Workload of individual cell has decreased due to origin of tissues. As a result of improved organization and higher efficiency, multicellular organisms have higher survival because it is functioning of group of cells. Clear? Now, question comes, what happens in case of plants or animal cells? We all are aware that plant and animals are two different types of organisms. Plants are autotrophic organisms, so prepare their own food by photosynthesis. Moreover, plants are stationary or fixed organisms. They do not have to move from one place in the search of their food. Since they do not consume or need much energy, so most of the plant tissues are supportive, which provide them with structural strength. Most of these tissues, such as xylem, phloem, sclerenchyma, and cork, are dead tissues. They do not contain living protoplasm. Now, when we talk about animals, animals on the other hand are heterotrophic organisms. They have to move in search of food, mate, and find shelter. So they need more energy as compared to plants. Most of the tissues they contain are living. They have living protoplasm. Now, if we see the differences, so in case of plant tissue, in plant, dead supportive tissues are more abundant as compared to living tissues. In case of animal tissue, in multicellular animals, living tissues are more common as compared to dead tissues. Plant tissues, they require less maintenance energy. Animal tissue, they require more maintenance energy. Plant tissue, there's a differentiation of meristematic and permanent tissues. It's a type of tissue present in plant tissue. Now, in case of animal tissues, such a differentiation is absent in them. In plant tissue, due to activity of meristematic tissues, plants continue to grow throughout life. But in case of animals, do not show growth after reaching maturity. Reparative growth is, however, present. In case of plant tissue, organization of plant tissues is simple. In case of animal tissue, organization of animal tissues is complex with the help of more specialized and localized organ and organ systems. In case of plant tissues, tissues organization is meant for stationary habit of plants. In case of animal tissues, tissues organization is targeted towards high mobility of animals. So we can say that on the basis of their structure and function, the tissues functions are also variable. Now there are some tissues in plants which divide throughout life. They divide for the growth and reproduction of the plants. Such ever dividing tissues are localized in certain regions of the plant body, and thus based on the dividing capacity of the tissues, various plants tissues can be classified into meristematic and permanent tissues. So in contrast to plants, growth in animals is uniform. So there is no such demarcation of dividing and non-dividing regions in animals. So next we will see classification of plant tissues. Plant tissues are of two types, that is meristematic and permanent. Permanent plant tissues are of two subtypes, simple and complex. Clear? So here you can see meristematic and then permanent. It will further divide on the basis where it is located on the basis of parts, that is apical, lateral and intercalary. Then permanent tissue will be divided into simple and complex. Simple will be of three types, that is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Then complex will be of two types, that is phloem and xylem. So each one we have to study in detail. Next is meristematic tissue, which we have to study. That is the first part of which comes under the plant tissue. Now, what is this meristematic tissues, children? Meristematic tissues may be defined as a group or collection of living cells which are located at specific locations and divide continuously to add new cells to plant body. Clear? In simple terms, we can say that cells of meristems divide continuously and help in increasing the length and girth of the plant. Clear? Now, these are some of the characteristics of meristematic tissues. First is the cells of meristematic tissue are similar in structure and have thin cellulose cell walls. Second, the meristematic tissue or the meristematic cells may be spherical, oval, polygonal, or rectangular in shape. The meristematic cells are compactly arranged and do not contain any intercellular space between them. That you can see here in the diagram 2, there is no space in between the cells. Each meristematic cell contains dense or abundant cytoplasm and a single large nucleus. That is also visible. It consists of single large nucleus and abundant cytoplasm. The meristematic cells contain few vacuoles or no vacuoles at all. So these are some of the characteristics of the meristematic tissue. Now on the basis of occurrence, again it is divided into three parts. Meristematic tissues are growth tissues and are found in the growing regions of the plant. According to their position in the plant, meristems are apical, lateral and intercalary. Now, what is apical meristems? These are situated at the growing tip of stems and roots, that is at shoot apex and root apex. Apical meristems are also found at apices of the leaves. Now, if we talk about its function basically, so it brings about the elongation of the root and stem because of that continuous division at the tip of the root and stem. So it brings about the elongation of the root and stem. It results in an increase in the height of the plant, which is called primary growth. So that is done by apical meristem. Second is lateral meristem. These are found beneath the bark, which is called cocambium, and in vascular bundles of dicot, roots and stem called vascular cambium. They occur in thin layers. Cambium is the region which is responsible for growth in thickness. So its main function, basically, it causes the organ, stem or root to increase in diameter and girth. This is called secondary growth. So basically it helps in increment of the diameter. Next is intercalary meristem. So intercalary, they are located at the base of leaves of or internode. Example, stems of grass and other monocots. Such tissues also occur below the nodes. Example, mint. Now, if we talk about its functions, so it produces an increase in the length of an organ, such as leaves and internodes. So all the three different types of, on the basis of location, meristems are represented in the diagram. Apical by the name, that means at the top, at the apex. Then intercalary, that also you can see where it is situated. It is basically situated in order to increase or decrease the in order to increase the growth of that internode. So this is node, clear, and then lateral on the sides of the wall, clear. So these are the locations, or these are the position on the basis of their occurrence, and their function will also be dependent according to their position. Next is functions of meristematic tissues. Collectively, if we talk, then meristematic tissues act as a parent tissue from which other tissues develop. Here, these tissues take part in growth by formation of new cells. With the help of meristems, plants continue to produce new leaves, branches of stem, root, flowers, fruits, and root hairs. The place of injury in plant is healed up by the formation of new cells by meristems. The plant shoots, lodged or bent by wind, are made to grow upright by activity of intercalary meristem. Because intercalary is basically located in order to support the base of the leaves and internode. So that's how it will help to correct the, or it will help to grow upright by the activity of intercalary meristem. Okay, so these are three different types of meristematic tissues based on the where it is situated, on the basis of their position. Now, one activity is given based on this, that is apical meristem causes growth in length. What we have to do in this activity? Take 2 glass jars and fill them with water. In next step, take 2 onion bulbs and place one on each jar. Placement of the onion bulbs on the mouth of each jar should be in such a way that the stem and root parts of each onion remain in contact with water. As you can see in the diagram too, remain in contact with water. Observe the growth of roots in both the onion bulbs. Measure the length of roots on day 1, day 2 and day 3. However, on day 4, cut the root tips, that is up to 1 centimeter. In jar B, observe the growth of roots in both jars for few more days and record your observation in the following table. Clear? Now this table is made where you can easily write the reading. So what we are going to see from the above observation, answer the following question: which of the jars has longer roots? Do the roots continue growing even after you have removed their tips? Why do the root tips stop growing in jar B after you have cut them? So You may have answer of question number 1 that roots of jar are longer since they have dividing cells at the root tip. In jar B, there will be no growth of roots since they lack the dividing cells. Cut roots stop growing since there is no dividing tissue present. That is very clear because meristematic tissue or meristematic cells are present at the tips of the root. So we are done till here. In next class, we are going to discuss with the next part of the plant tissue, that is permanent tissue, then simple, complex, and then we will move further. If you have any doubt, please do write and please prepare the notes, whatever I have given, and complete your work. And for your online exam, I have already informed you what are the portions till 16th May, whatever I have taught you, that is in your portion. This is not included in your exam for online exam. Thanks, happy learning.